another episode of How To Home Fix. On one of our episodes we showed you how to put an anchor in the wall, which you're putting a hole in the wall. And sometimes when you're moving, you want to fix the house up, or you just simply want to move that picture or shelf or whatever it may be, you want to fix that hole so it's not kind of an ugly eyesore. We're going to show you today how to real quick fix a small hole in the wall. Other videos will show you how to fix the larger holes in the wall. Alright, the first thing you're going to need is a bucket of mud. I don't really recommend that spackle that you find in them tiny little cans. Get yourself a bucket of mud. You don't have to get anything quite this big. This is a 5-gallon bucket. It really only costs about $12. If you're doing a lot of work, I certainly recommend this. But you can get them in the little 2-gallon buckets for somewhere around $8. Get the good stuff. Don't get that lightweight stuff you find in the painting aisle. Go over to the sheetrock aisle in your hardware store and get the good stuff. The other stuff is just a little too dry, and it tends to come out a little bit, and it's really only meant for little pinholes in the wall. For pinholes, yeah, I recommend that. But for really big holes, or screw size holes, maybe something the size of a pencil, I recommend this stuff. Okay, so this is the first thing you're going to want to get. And the other thing, you want to get a little mud pan. Makes things a lot easier, especially if you're doing multiple holes. Get yourself a mud pan. You can get them in this, or you can get them in plastic for just a couple of dollars. And the last thing is you want to get yourself a mud knife. Now this is a 6-inch knife. You can get them in pretty much any size. If you're going to be doing small holes, a 4-inch or a 2-inch will be fine. I generally stick with a 6-inch for most of my projects. So that's really all you're going to need to fix this small hole. So let's get on with it. Alright, the first thing we want to do is prep the hole. Now the hole generally is going to have little bits of paper sticking out or whatever from the drywall. So what we want to do is just take a screwdriver and just kind of dimple it in a little bit. This will help when the drywall goes on, or when the mud goes on. It'll help to sink into the hole a little bit. So we just dimple it in. We don't want anything sticking out that might stick out of the drywall mud when we put it on. So just dimple it in a little bit. And then we take our drywall mud pan, and when you put drywall in the mud pan, you want to put it in and just put a little bit in the mud pan here, and then take your knife and kind of just work it a little bit, get it smooth, because in the bucket it's going to be it's not going to be quite mixed up as you want it to be. So just work it a little bit and get it nice and smooth. See how that's nice and smooth? So later on, if you're doing major drywall work like taping or anything like that, I'll show you later on in other videos how to add water to it. But for a simple hole like this, it's no big deal. Okay, now you take just a little bit on the corner of your knife like so, and go to the hole. And I'm going to show you a mistake that a lot of people make so that you don't make it. A lot of people think that they get some mud on the knife and they go straight across and they wipe it off. And all they have is a little bit of drywall mud inside the hole, but none around. And they think that's the right way to do it, but it's really not. Because when you paint over this, you're going to see exactly where that hole was, because there's still a little divot right there. So what you want to do is take your knife, and while you're dragging from this side, this is the side that doesn't have any mud on it. You're going to place this onto the wall, and just ever so slightly, what we call feather it on. We're going to feather it on ever so slightly. And then you see how you've got kind of a thicker ridge on top? Go ahead and take your knife and you can smooth that out. Wipe your knife off as you go and smooth it out just a little bit. And it's not going to look real pretty while it's still wet. You're still going to see ridges and things. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry, and once it dries, I'm going to sand just the outer portions of it and maybe the center of it just a little bit, and you're going to have a nice smooth surface. And then you can go ahead and paint it, and you'll never see where that dimple was again. Okay, and that's really all there is to it. The only trick you can do once this is dry is you'll know that it's completely flat if you run your fingers across it and you don't feel any ridges or bumps or anything like that. You'll know that once paint gets on there, you won't see anything. Okay, that's been another episode of How To Home Fix. Happy hole filling. Okay, we'll talk to you later, and if you need any more tips and tricks, go to us at www.howtohomefix.com.